Welcome to Dark Chuckle, the channel where fear and excitement walk hand in hand. I am Lucius Dark Chuckle, your host from the shadows, a storyteller who loves to toy with a fine line between chills and sinister laughter. Get ready for dark tales filled with mystery, horror, and the kind of suspense that makes your heart race with anticipation. If you enjoy stories that send shivers down your spine and fill you with adrenaline, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us on this electrifying journey through the darkness. Here, every laugh may hide a secret, and every shadow may hold a story. Turn off the lights, lean in, and let the terror begin. It was a rainy and muggy night when Gabriel arrived at the Aurora Hotel. He was exhausted from driving for hours on a deserted road and needed a place to rest. The hotel looked decrepit, with its chipped facade and flickering sign. But it was the only option for miles. Upon entering, he was greeted by a strange man at the reception desk. He was thin, with pale skin and sunken eyes that seemed to never blink. The badge on his chest simply read Manager. "Welcome to the Aurora Hotel," he said with a forced smile. "We only have one room available tonight. Room 313. I hope you're not superstitious." Gabriel smiled uncomfortably, but accepted the key without question. He was too tired to care about superstitions or the manager's odd behavior. The hallway leading to room 313 was long and dimly lit. The ceiling lights flickered, casting unsettling shadows on the walls. When he reached the door, he felt a slight shiver but ignored it. He inserted the key, turned it, and entered. The room was simple: a double bed, a nightstand, and an old armchair by the window. But what really caught his attention was the massive mirror on the wall opposite the bed. It took up almost the entire surface, reflecting the entire room flawlessly. Gabriel dropped his backpack on the floor and headed straight for the bathroom. When he returned, something made him stop. He looked at the mirror and felt his heart race. There was something wrong with the reflection. The reflected room looked identical to the real one, except for one disturbing difference. The reflected armchair was not empty. A hooded man was sitting in it, hands folded in his lap, staring directly at him. A wide, sickening grin distorted his face. Gabriel spun around, but the armchair was empty in the real world. He looked back at the mirror, and the man was still there, now tilting his head slightly as if curious. "Who are you?" Gabriel murmured, feeling sweat trickle down his forehead. His own voice sounded shaky and muffled. The man in the mirror didn't respond. Instead, he slowly stood up, still holding that frozen grin. Gabriel took a step back, terrified. When he looked around, everything seemed normal. But in the reflection, the hooded man was now walking toward him, inside the mirror. Gabriel tried to leave the room, but the door wouldn't open. He pulled the doorknob with all his strength, but something seemed to be keeping it locked. He turned back to the mirror, and the man was now so close it looked like he was about to step through the glass. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out. The room was plunged into darkness. Gabriel felt his heart pounding uncontrollably, and when the lights came back on, the hooded man was no longer in the mirror. He was in the room. Gabriel saw him standing near the armchair, with the same sinister smile and eyes that looked like black voids. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. His legs trembled, and he felt the air around him grow heavier, as if something invisible was draining the energy from the room. The man took a step toward Gabriel, then another. Each movement was slow, almost theatrical. Gabriel backed up until he felt the cold wall against his back. "What do you want?" he managed to whisper. The man didn't respond with words. He simply raised a thin hand and pointed at the mirror. Gabriel looked at the glass and saw something that made him want to vomit. In the reflection, he was sitting in the armchair, with empty eyes and the same macabre smile the man had. Before he could react, the hooded man closed the short distance between them and grabbed Gabriel by the neck. A piercing cold shot through his body, and he felt as if his soul was being pulled out. His vision went dark. When the lights returned, the room looked normal again. The armchair was empty, and the mirror reflected the room as usual, except for one difference. Gabriel was now on the other side of the glass. He pounded desperately on the mirror, screaming for help, but his voice could not be heard. In the room, the hooded man adjusted his hood, sat calmly in the armchair, and waited, with the same macabre smile on his face. The door to room 313 opened, and the manager appeared, his expression apathetic. "Another guest is arriving. I hope you enjoy your stay," he said, looking directly at the mirror. And so, the cycle began again.